Hello everybody, this is Toys R Us, and for this new figure showcase and review, we're going to be looking at the Transformers Bumblebee movie. This is Studio Series Skywarp. So we're going to have a detailed look at him in both of his modes, help you decide how you want to display him. We are of course going to be reuniting him with Thundercracker and Starscream to see how all three of them do look together in their robot modes. We'll do a very quick comparison with the core class, and of course I'll bring in some of the other Bumblebee movie Studio Series figures as well. Now before we get started, I need to remind anybody who's not subscribed to the channel, if you'd like to hit that subscribe button for me now please, and also to thank In Demand Toy Stores in the UK, because that's where I got this from, and as you can see they got it to me nice and safely. Right, before we look at the alternate mode, we need to look at the packaging. Now I've got to confess, I don't remember seeing much of him in the movie. I'm sure if I go back and watch it with detail we'll find him, but what I really do love, and I genuinely mean this, I love the fact that if we get one Seeker we know we're going to get the rest. So because he was packaged in robot mode, we've also got the image of him there as well. There is the bust on that side, and then we've also got again just an enlarged image from the movie like so. Now the transformation process is the same as Starscream, Thundercracker and Thrusts. What I'm going to do is put a direct link to it in the description with this, because I'm not going to waste your time on this particular video doing the full transformation, because it is exactly that. It's exactly the same. Right, let's have a look at the Tetrajet mode then. Now this is really interesting, and when we first saw Starscreams of it, I was really impressed, to be honest, because a lot of the movie figures, by my own admission, I don't find them as aesthetically appealing as, of course, the G1 figures. That's just because I suppose how I grew up, but I do appreciate movie figures, and I do, you know, I know that people love them. But whereas these, when the Bumblebee movie ones come out, I just loved these as well. So yeah, you can see this has got a bit of a bend to it. That's just in case anybody's worried that it's super sharp. It's not at all. It is quite a pliable rubber. It's not too sharp at all. Can we move them? Yeah, we can, but that's for something else. Right, I've got into what I believe is to be the correct alternate mode, and as I say, you could have perhaps had them up if you wanted to. You wouldn't really want to. You can also move these wings, you can spin them around quite a bit. It depends. There's quite a lot of scope for this, to be honest. You can tell that there is hands at the back and there is a bit of a gap through there, but I think from how they, I suppose, just came up with this concept, it's a brilliant sort of bridging the gap between, you know, G1 cartoon and movies. And that's why I've said this on numerous occasions, I've kept my Bumblebee movie figures where I've sold on lots of the others. Now the accessories that come with him are, I suppose, they're really good. I mean, if you're watching this in a few years time and you're wondering whether you should get one without the accessories, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. This is what he will look like in this particular mode with no accessories, but they do help. I'm not going to lie. This one especially, not just because, you know, they're blasters or whatever, but this is actually designed, as you can see now, to be some sort of, it's better than landing gear, because it balances him, it just straightens him out. I suppose you could do some brilliant poses like that. I mean, if you haven't got it, it's not the end of the world. It's just something that I think that does tend to really work with this particular figure. I'm now going to attach these to the bottom of the wings. There's a numerous ways, get me words out, that you can do this. I was checking to see if you could do it that way, but you can't. And yeah, I was pretty much just going to gloss over this figure, as I say, because it's just the same as the rest. But again, I'm really impressed with these particular molds, really impressed with how the transformation works, and really impressed with how they look. So I thought I'd spend perhaps a little bit more time on it. So there you go, that's with the accessories all attached. Just to give you an idea, I've got a few alternate modes here. I normally don't have many at all, to be fair, but there's your normal jet mode, so completely different, but both, you know, a good size, shall we say. Definitely into that Voyager class size price point, randomly enough, just because he's here. Let's bring him in. Here's a Generation 1 Cyclonus, so obviously much thicker, a lot more going on, but I think Cyclonus beats him in regards to length. Let's just bring in a few other sets of figures just to give you an idea of size. If you're a G1 collector like myself, here is an Optimus Prime. So this is a big figure, you know what I mean? It is a really big figure, and I do think that it looks good. Okay, more mainline figures, just to give you an idea. Optimus Primes, unfortunately, because I haven't got many, as I say, Studio Series figures left, especially not in their alternate modes. But to be honest, guys, there isn't really much more to say about this figure. As I say, the mold, anybody who collects Transformers, anybody who knows anything about Seekers, knows that there's not too much difference, to be fair, and once we get one we do get the others. And as I say, I'm just really glad that we do now have Skywarp. So that's enough for this part. You're going to come right back and we're going to see him in his robot mode. Okay, we're back and he's in the robot mode, so we're going to check out his articulation, we're going to see how his accessories look, and of course we're going to bring in some other figures just to again have a look at how he displays and compares with them. Just a quick reminder, the transformation process tutorial is in the description, but it is for Starscream, and that's just because it's exactly the same. So let's have a look at the figure, and I like this colour purple, I like the shade of it. What's really interesting with this is they don't tend to go too much with the colour purple, the same with some of the other Skywarp figures, whereas Thundercracker, which you'll see in a second, is pretty much all blue. Right, head sculpt, let's have a look at the head sculpt then. Brilliant detail, look at that, look at like the mask, or I suppose it's like an oxygen mask, even like a pilot's mask. It's brilliant, the detail on it is sensational. It will spin all the way around, look up and down as well, which you can see, no problems there. All these details and all the grills just look really, really good. Now the wings can be positioned in so many different ways. You can have them folded back, you can rotate these down, you can open these up, and again, I suppose it's all down to personal preference. What I will probably do once I've got them all in a line next to each other, I'll probably just have them so they look slightly different, just to keep something individual to them. But the fact that you've got the choice of how you want to position them, how you want them, if you want them up, if you want them down, all of this articulation is brilliant. And of course, if it's out of the way, you can rotate the arm all the way around as well, completely unhindered. You can swivel at the top of the shoulder. There is bicep flexion. There is no wrist swivel. Now I know that a lot of people did comment on that with it being a Voyager class, but that is because unfortunately it does just fold into there. However, that's not a deal breaker for me, nor the fact that it's got a gap in the forearm, purely because when you stand him like this, you can't tell. And that's my get out of jail with every single figure in every single company. If you can't see it, I'm not too fussed. Right, there isn't a waist swivel because again, very cleverly everything is now attached into there. However, they make up for that by giving us these joints in the legs, which give you splits that way, and as good as, or maybe you can actually, I can't remember, no, as good as splits either way. If we move them, no, it's not going to go any further back than that, but there's more than enough range and articulation there, as well as this swivel at the top of the thigh, huge knee bend, and the ankle tilt rock and everything. It's just crazy, the articulation and the posability on these particular figures. There you go, Bloodsport. There you go, he's going to balance there like that, but there's loads that you could do with him. And as I say, this is him basic without his accessories, so you've got a couple of choices. These, I always call them null rays, and quite rightly so. I always get picked up on that. They're not null rays. Starscream was the only one who had null rays. These are just blasters. I can't remember the proper names, to be fair, but yes, I know they're not null rays, but you can pop them in his hands, which I think is very, very good. But you've of course got the main cannon, which if you remember was his landing gear. Now the problem with that is if we put them there, you can't really, I don't think, anywhere to my knowledge. No, that's just me just balancing stuff. I am just seeing if there's anything that I can do. Maybe, I don't know. Actually, I might have just made something up here. I'm sure this isn't in the instructions, and I've never thought of doing that before, but there you go. I've just managed to make something up, and it does sort of work. And I suppose in some degree, if you wanted to, you can actually store it on the back, but it's not supposed to. That was just me ad-libbing, having a bit of a play. But what these of course are supposed to go, I'm going to put them up actually. I'm going to angle them up. You can't put them on the shoulders, which is a little bit unfortunate. I think they missed a trick with that. If they'd have been able to put them on the shoulders, it would have just topped it off really well, if you know what I mean. Of course, perfect throwback homage to the original Generation 1 figures. Right, there is no, it's not Thundercracker, there is Skywarp. Let's bring in Starscream. So, I've knocked one of his guns off. The wings on these look the same, to be fair. I think, to be honest, looking at that, Starscream's inner working, I suppose inner detail looks a little bit better because it's silver, whereas obviously it's silver there in the legs, but with it being like a blacky gunmetal grey, it's just not as prominent. Now there's a definite head sculpt different there. Let's move these out of the way because otherwise we're not going to be able to put them all next to each other. And let's bring in Thundercracker. Once again, guys, these are big. These are nice and big Voyager class size figures, but you'll see what I mean now about the colour difference with Skywarp. Oh, there you are with Skywarp. With Thundercracker, I've angled the wings down and I've angled the blasters down as well, and this guy's got a really prominent blue, and of course he had a translucent cockpit, same as the other two. Now let me have a quick look if oh, they've got the same head sculpts, which I think is still different to Thrust, because Thrust's got like a cone head appearance, which I will bring in a second. Yeah, you can see they look ace, they look so good. And I know that this is coming from somebody who's not too much into Bayverse stuff. I think these look spectacular together, to be fair. It's great to see them like this. Yeah, this is definitely a different head sculpt, that is Thrust, but again I've angled the wings down. The head's the same by the looks of it, but the nose cone of course is very, very different. Right, that's enough of the jets, because I think we've seen enough of them. Let's bring in him, concept art Megatron. Oh, let's get him standing up. And it would have been great to see these alongside each other in the movie. Let's bring in him. That's a small deluxe figure, and it really shows and highlights how small they are compared to this particular size. Just a couple of quick other figures then to bring in. What have I done with him? Let's bring in the core class normal jets. Let's bring in him. He's another big Voyager class figure. Who else have I got just hanging around? I've actually got a Blockies Megatron, which that's not going to help with scale at all, so I'm not going to bring that in. I'm going to bring in Earthrise Prime, because everybody's got a rough idea of how big he is. That's Great Cannon, which is just a Japanese redeco of Onslaught, so again that's giving you an idea of some G1 sort of sizes. With regards to some more mainline figures, there's Overcharge, another nice jet alternate mode, and then finally last couple of figures, just as I say, to give you an idea of how big he is. And I'm going to round it up here. As I say, probably actually ended up talking about this one longer than the rest, even though I didn't actually intend to do that, but maybe it's come across that I like them, and as I say, that is the case. I think these are brilliant, and they are the perfect gap bridger for myself as a G1 fan. So let me know what you think in the comments as well. Yeah, there you go. This is Bumblebee movie. This is Voyager class Skywarp, and I think he's fantastic. Let me know what you think. Take care.